Hello. Uh, Today is the 15th of February, 2026, and I'm continuing with my tutorial work. I'm not going to be following a tutorial anymore. I'm going to move on from the tutorial because part of the tutorial work is being able to iterate upon it myself. And I feel pretty confident that I can do that. So that's what we are going to do now. Okay, so where we left off, we have this. We started making a little mob guy, but um, he is not programmed. Yeah, so we didn't program this little guy. We gave him an animation, I think. Did we? Yes, we did. We did give him an animation. Um, I don't know if I'm going to use him. I probably won't, but who knows? Stuff might change. But if I go back into the level, it's tiny. Let me fix that. If we go back into our game, so we have, little guy. Might use it, might won't. There are a few things I want to see if I can fix on my own. Actually, no, should I? Because the focus is game mechanics and player systems. Um, to be fair, I might have an opportunity to do that later. The things that I had a gripe with that we made. There was the shooting. Now, the shooting feels like cool. Like it makes a bullet that's independent from the gun and fires out, and it deletes itself after it gets too far. But if you shoot it through a platform, it goes out the other side of the platform. I don't know if you can see. It might be better to show from down here, maybe. Oh, no. You can see, even though I've shot it through the yellow bit, but I don't know. It's hard to see, easy to miss, but you can kind of see it still in the distance, even though going through a platform. I want to see if I can make it so the bullets destroy when they hit a platform. Another thing I was a little about was the way that the jumping worked. So we programmed it so that you can do long jumps and short jumps. So if I hold the space bar for the entirety of that, I jump the full way up and down. But if I only just tap it, it's only a slight jump. And I don't know how well it's showing on the recording, but it abruptly stops the player before it's finished the full jump. And that's because it's setting the velocity just immediately to 0. And then gravity is affecting after that. I wonder if we can see it in here. Yes, we have the gravity variable. That's just the move speed. I might actually change that to move speed. Where do we do the jumping is handled down here, isn't it? Yes. Okay, yeah, jumping. So we have when we press the jump key, which is bound to space, and we're on the floor, it sets our y velocity to positive 10, so that it like shoots us up at 10. But then if we release jump, then it just sets it to 0. And I wrote in a little note here that jump cutting feels too sharp, and I want to smooth it. So that's something I want to fix. I want to try and smooth it over time so that, when we do the full jump, you can see we go up, we ease into the peak, and then we ease back down when coming down. Whereas instead of just cutting it immediately short, I want to see if I can smooth it to that cutoff. And then also making the bullets stop when they hit a platform. I think I want to try and do this jump thing first. Where when we jump, it just cuts it immediately short. So let's have a look. Leaks. God, I'm really out of it at the moment, but it's fine. So we're just setting it immediately to 0. But instead of that, I don't think we want to do that. We want it to ease in towards a 0. So this is in physics process. This says, is action just released? Okay, here's what I'm thinking. Instead of setting it to 0, because it's in a physics process, it's being called every frame. What if we did a velocity minus equals 1 times delta? I don't think that's going to work because it says action just released. But let's see how that changes it, because what I'm thinking is just decreasing the velocity by 1. That crashed. What happened there? Invalid operands, vector 3, and float in operator minus. Okay. Oh, it's because I did velocity instead of velocity, not y. I think that's why. Y. So let's try that again. So the whole thing happens there. If I release, or if I just tap, still not really doing it. God, I'm print velocity dot y, so we can see what it's doing. So it's close to 10, and I'm tapping it. But I am multiplying it by delta. What if I don't multiply it by delta? I don't multiply it by delta. And it just gives me 8. So that is doing something, but it's not doing what I want it to. There's got to be different. Is action pressed? Is anything pressed? Destroy button, destroy known. Is action just released? Is action just pressed? Get vector. stops pressing an action event in the current frame. That's why. It's only checking it in that frame. So I need something that's running every frame. And I think there's one called physics. I think there's one that's just called process. Ugh, that's a lot. Ready, ready, entry, ready, process. Yes, process called during the process step of the main loop. Okay. I feel like I'm not doing this correctly or in the best way, but hey, let's roll with it. So let's call... Actually, should I just do it within the physics process? Probably. That's called outside, because it's only being called a few times. Can I write a function within here? Let's just call it stop jump, and I should really follow the naming convention, which is, I think it's called snake, where you have the underscores of stop and jump. Stop pass. Can I? I don't think I can. Okay. elif. If I write an if statement in here, let me just do this pseudocodely. If we stop pressing the jump key, velocity gradually decreases. Here's what we do. We create a new variable called a bool. Expected end a statement after expression, found identifier instead. Null. What do we call it? Variable bool jumping equals true. Okay. Bool is built-in variant type. Okay. So I just... Okay. Is jumping equal to false, because that's going to be the default state when we launch it. So when we press jump, that's set and we're jumping. We set it to is false. Then if I do if is jumping is equal to false. If I just do a quick pass in there, I can think. I'm not checking there. And this is checking every frame. If is jumping is equal to false, then we want to decrease the velocity y by a certain amount each frame, but we multiply by delta. So if I still it's not doing the short jump like I had hoped. Maybe just try. Because that should then carry over. Jeepers. And is on floor. That's an issue. But gravity should be playing. Velocity y is always minus equal to gravity. But it's still being set that way, okay. Don't think that was it. Something, oh, that's my bad. Yeah, that's just because I took it out. Well, we're holding it down for a higher jump. The shorter we hold it down, the shorter the jump. The longer we hold it down, the longer the jump. So, should a timer be set when we press the key? I think that is what we will do. Now, there was a timer thing going on somewhere. So instead of setting the velocity immediately to 10, no, because if we're checking for a time from the timer and it's only established after we release the spacebar bar, then it'd kind of be like a charge jump, so we'd have to like let go of the key before we jumped. So no, this isn't it, but I'm just curious. Set it to -10. See, that's just doing it not how I wanted. It's kind of going the opposite way. Velocity is equal to 0. Ooh, what if velocity y is equal to velocity y halved? That sort of fixes it a little bit, because it's still easing into it. Oh my god, it's so simple. Because if I just tap it, it's still a short jump. And it's just easing into it. A medium jump. You can still kind of see it, I guess, can you? I'm just testing this thing out. Oh, I think I did it. Oh, that's so simple. It's such a simple thing. Hang on. Yes, that is what we do. Now, I'm curious. If I do that by a higher value, see, the higher you divide it, the closer it gets to 0. And the more noticeable it is. I did by 1.5. Now, it doesn't give you as much control. I think 2 is a good sweet spot. I'm going to hold that in a variable. Jump Jut. Jump. Jump. Release divider. Dividend? What do you call it? I don't know. Jump, release. Just do a quick search. What do you call parts of a division equation? Remember my basic arithmetic. The other operations are hidden. Let's see. What is being divided is called the dividend, which is divided by the divisor. If 20 apples are divided evenly between 4 people, at an elementary level, this is elementary math. What is being divided is the dividend. 20 divided by 4 equals 5. Velocity y, that's the dividend, and that's the divisor to create the quotient. Okay. Divisor, we'll call it. Equals 2. We'll just jump, release, divisor. There we go, and I'll variable call it jump power, jump divisor. There we go. Jump divisor, jump power. So when we play, if I tap it, it's only a small jump. Like I can cut my jump short at any moment and it feels smooth. Ah, I love that. Nice, we did that. Okay. That is solved. So, I guess just to recap, because a lot of it was, I don't know how much I actually spoke about it, because I was just thinking about it a lot. Before we had, let me just get rid of this comment because we no longer need it. Before we had that, and before we had that, and before we had those variables up there, when we did our jump, we were just setting it to a definitive value each time. And we're still doing that with actually jumping for the jump power. But when we release it, instead of just cutting it short completely to 0. So let me just show you what I've done here. Velocity y. So hold down the jump. We're jumping at our full power of 10. But if I cut my jump short, I don't know how well you can see that, but it's just an abrupt stop mid-air, like we've just hit a ceiling or something. We don't want that. What we want instead is to ease into it, and I've done that by dividing the velocity y as it is in the frame when this is called by a jump divisor, which is 2, which is just cutting the velocity in half. So that when we run it, we can still like hold down space for our full jump. But if you look Like we had our full jump there, but if I cut it short, you can sort of see that we're still easing into it. Just a little quality of life, making the game feel smoother. I love that. What did I say my next thing was going to be? Oh, it was, right. When we shoot, our thing goes through a platform. Bullet goes through platform, and we don't like that. Now, I'll have to check. We have a scene for our bullet, and it has a collision shape, and we have a script for the bullet 3D. So we can do collision stuff. Our player also has a collision thing. Digital process gravity, but I think oh, wait a second. Hang on. Character body 3D, okay. I think that's where it is. Because I was thinking, if they both have collision shapes, I don't remember doing any programming for the player to collide with the ground. And I think that's because it's built into the character body 3D. But not to fear, because I remember something about an on collision. Physics. Functions. Show me functions. Let me, yeah, I'm gonna check the site thing where we detect collision.
So in this case, when the area 3D node, when the bullet hits a character body like the mob, it will emit this.
Probably, I don't know if this is gonna work, but since it is an area thing and it's just checking if it just checks if anything's passing into the area. It's like a little trigger, so it did it. God damn it, man. I thought that was gonna be something I did on my own. That's kind of bummed me out a little bit. I mean, I fixed the jumping. The bullet kind of fixed itself going through platforms. So if I stand right next to the bat and I aim there, the gun is not actually aiming towards the bat, so I want it to be a little more accurate. So to do that, I'm going to snap. I'm going to make it so that the gun itself and the transform of those equal to an x of 0. So that the gun is in the very center. See, that's a little off. So I need to. I've gone off. I'm away from the tutorial. I'm kind of just fixing some stuff. Well, now that's too high. That is also too high. How do you get it to aim perfectly? Do I just need to make it high? I don't want to make it higher though. The rotation on the x-axis is... Turn off snapping. Just ever so slightly up. Oh, that fixes it. There we go. Okay. That way when I'm shooting, it is exactly from me now. If I were to move this to the side, you can see that's way off. I think I moved it a bit too much to the side. I need to rotate it ever so slightly. I still need to... Oh my gosh, of course. Of course. In normal shooters, they don't do projectiles. In normal shooters, they have... Don't they? I think they do like laser lines. They have a line that shoots from... like a line detector, like a laser thing in the game world. That just stretches across. And if the line... And I'm thinking in like Call of Duty where you have snipers and distance and wind and gravity can affect the shot. I think the line then, like, to give a sense of delay, because obviously there's a delay between when you shoot and it hits the target, they just delay when the damage is actually hitting them. But also they might bend the line as well, instead of doing this stinky projectile balancing. Anyway, that works. Doesn't quite work if they're too close to you. But there we go. Okay. Uh, what are my iterations on this tutorial? I guess the jumping, changing the jumping so that instead of it just being an abrupt stop, it eases you out of it. I thought my iteration could be that it stops the bullet from passing through the platforms, but that's already done it. I guess another iteration I had was moving the gun to the center. Double jump? I could program a double jump. That's pretty simple. Probably won't be my only thing, but hey ho. So if unheld input is yep. Physics process, walking, jumping, and is on floor. Can you do or statements? You can do or statements, or assignment is not allowed inside the Oh, right, duh. I can't assign it. I need to check it. Double jump not declared within the current scope. That's okay. Var double jump equal to false by default. If is on floor. Equal to true. And if I'm not on the floor, well, nothing is setting it to false. Yet. And I'm just declaring it a variable. And double jump is equal to true. Velocity jump is elif well, let's just copy that, put that into there, and double jump is equal to true. Velocity y equals jump power. Else if you release it, oh yeah, we need to set double jump to false here. Now I could put that into a function. Can I make functions in here? Probably have to make it outside, so let's do just call it jump. Velocity dot y equals jump power, which isn't declared in the current scope because I've put it in there. Right, so I'm gonna have to take that out and put it up there. Double jump is declared now. Just to jump variables. Look, variables. I don't know how I feel about double jump just being declared as a variable. I don't know if that's just a simplicity of GD script based on Python, but hey. If is on floor, is equal to true. Is on floor, is on true. It's only set to false when we use it. And obviously we have our thing there to stop it. And instead of that, we're just going to call the jump function. Let's play. Ah, there we go. Simple. Easy, easy. I can do a long jump and then a short jump then long jump. Now what if I want to sprint? Let's do sprinting as well. And we'll sprint when I press the shift key. So let's go to our input map. Let's add a new action called sprint. And it's going to be a shift key, and that's the left shift. If is on floor, is equal to true. Floor, else if we can double jump. Do that, and if we release it, it's decreased there. Cool, 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 cool. Let's type that there. Sprinting. So we have walking. Makes sense to put sprinting below there, and I think we just increase the move speed. So if input dot is action pressed. Now what is this? If you are pressing the action event. So I think that means if I stop pressing it, then it's not being called. So if I do sprint, move speed cannot be constant anymore. It needs to be variable. So we set it to 5 before, just to be a bit round. Let's set it to 10. And if I play, nothing's happening. I don't think anything's happening. If action just pressed, we increase the move speed. Okay, instead of that, we can do a new variable called variable. I did this with the jumping. Is sprinting. Is sprinting is equal to true, and then we just do if input dot is action just released. sprint is sprinting equal to false. If is sprinting is equal to true, move speed equals 10. Else if is sprinting is equal to false, move speed is equal to 5. So it was setting it to 10. Maybe 10 just isn't that big of a difference actually. I set it to 100. Was used before assigning a variable. Something weird's going on. Oh. Hang on. Here's what's going on. Variable move speed, which is we need to declare the variable. And if that's true, we set it to say 10. Otherwise, it's set to false. And because it's set to false, it's 5. So let me just print move speed. Null. Hang on. Set to null. It's not even setting it? Is my thing right? If I set that to that. What's going on? It's just constantly set to that. Is sprinting is equal to true? Is action just pressed? So that didn't seem to have anything to do with it. If is sprinting is equal to true, then we set it to 10. I mean, I'm pressing shift, but there's no change whatsoever. if is action just if is action pressed to sprint. So something isn't happening here. Just put that back to how it was. Yep. Okay, so movement variables. Um, Sprinting. If input dot get is action just pressed sprint. Okay. Equal to 10. Let's make that back to equal to 5. And then we need to do the inverse of that. Walking. And just set the move speed. And then we print it. I could probably put that into a default. Move speed equals 5. Print move speed. Okay, so in theory, just pressed. Oh, and just really is action just released. Yep. Invalid string and float in operator. Plus a string and float in operator. Okay. That's working. Cool. I've got my sprinting. Nice. Side note, I noticed that I can make myself sprint in the air. I don't want that, so I want to do is action just pressed and is on floor. There we go. I'm trying to sprint while in the air and I can't. But if I sprint on there, I can stop sprinting in the air. I think you should only be able to stop once you're on the floors, and is on floor. Now I'm wondering, that doesn't sound, I feel like I'm gonna break this, hang on. Yep, I expected that because I've just locked myself to walking speed now. That I'm only calling that while I'm in the air. The is just released. If else if action is just released. If is on floor. Else. Hang on. Call this jumping. Call this grounding. There we go. So else if is else. Floor. Just check that goes. Cool. If I'm not on the floor, meaning if I'm airborne, I need to declare variables. Airborne. If is on floor, airborne is equal to false. If I'm not on the floor, now the double jump is being declared here, or it's being set to false here because it's something I have to use, it's a resource. But here, if I'm not on the floor, then airborne is equal to true. Second. So that happens. And is on floor. If we're grounded, then we set that to that. No, that's what I did before. Else, if action is just pressed, and we need to check and is. I need to do another else if. If is action pressed, sprint. If it's not being pressed, and airborne is equal to true, move speed is equal to move speed. Um, let's see how that goes. Nope. Nope. That's not it. What do I want to happen? Well, I've made it so that it stops and stops and stops. I made it so that I can't sprint while I'm airborne. Or I can't initiate a sprint while I'm airborne. Only when I'm grounded. If I'm airborne, only call the stop function. If. It needs to, because I may sprint, be airborne, but while I'm airborne, I'm not holding shift, and when I land, so if is on floor and sprint is not being held, elif input.is action rest sprint. So if I'm not holding sprint and I'm on floor, speed is equal to 5.0. And we want to, let's just comment that out for now. See how this goes. Yes. Yeah, I did it. Oh my God. Yes. Okay. So it is, oh, that's what the sprinting is doing. Yeah. So it's checking if we press sprint and we're on the floor, then it sets the move speed to that, meaning it won't initiate a sprint if we're airborne. Else if we aren't pressing, because this is checking if we are pressing the button. So if we're not pressing sprint and we're on the floor, then it sets it to move speed there, which also means that this won't happen. It won't set it back to the normal walking speed if we are airborne. So we didn't actually need that airborne variable. We still need that double jump there. If is on floor. Double jump is equal to true. Do that there. And if extra and we're on the floor. I'm realizing that it's making a lot of because it's just checking if that's pressed at all times. Oh, that's so good because I can sprint, and then while I'm airborne I can let go of sprint, but I maintain the speed and I only stop speed when I land. And if I jump airborne and I press sprint, it won't make me go fast in midair. It only happens if I'm on the ground. Oh, that was weird. Oh, I just found a little bug thing. If I... Oh wait, no, that's the double jump. Oh, okay. So I thought I was like in the split second between changing that, changing the speed. I was getting a jump in, but no, that's just the double jump. I was like, I can hit that, but that's not for this. I only did that just to get the bullet to stop. There we go. Right. So I've done a double jump. I've done an easing of the jump. And I have made this very neat sprinting. Hell yeah. Alright, what time is it? I've done this for an hour and a half. That's okay. Do I do one more thing? I had a thought just now of doing wall jumps. That seems a bit complicated. What else could I do? Well, I'm sure I could do like a make the character flip around. But that would be not great. We can sprint forever and ever and ever and ever. I wonder if I could do a stamina system. A stamina system and a health system. That would require some feedback as to how much health and how much stamina you have. I think that might be a task for a different time. Let's have a look. Game mechanics and player systems, player movement controls, core games, health, stamina, or basic combat systems. Okay. Changes beyond the tutorial. Okay, just looking at the spec. I've got player movement and controls down. Some core gameplay mechanics I've got down. I've not done health, stamina, or basic combat systems. Well, I've done basic combat systems. I've got the shooting. Health and stamina I've not done though. It says that the own original version of the work has to be changes beyond the tutorial. Okay. I think I'll save the health and stamina for my original work and call this a successful. A successful tutorial. With my own iterations, because it needs to show evidence of iteration, refinement, or correction. And then an explanation of the technical decision. Which I've done here. I could probably do it again in the future, because this has felt very inconcise. But yeah, I think I'm happy with that for a tutorial. And iteration. I just need to do an own original version of the work and a short video demonstration showing the original version. Great. I'm happy with that. I am really happy with that. I think I'm gonna call that there then. How's the frame rate? I don't know. It's okay. Yeah, I think I'll call it there. I'm doing this again tomorrow, so I've got time to do some more work with it. But yeah, it's been the 15th of February, 2026.